Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video. Today I'm down in Austin, Texas with a Tesla Cybertruck that I have all day to figure out how to clean. So I'm going to be making multiple videos on this topic, and this one starting with washing. We're going to get into all of it later on with waterless washes, spray waxes, sealants, ceramic coatings, and all things associated with the stainless steel. But first off, we need to get it clean, and that's what we're doing in this video. So welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Austin, Texas, with a Tesla Cybertruck. Let's jump into it. Well, being down here has truly been a trip. I have had to bring all of the detailing chemicals in a checked bag from Colorado down here to Austin to make sure I had everything, and that's been a process. I filmed a little travel vlog that is likely going to be up before this video, so you can see a little bit of what that process was. And this is actually the third Cybertruck I have been with in the past 2 days. Now there's 5 total that we have down here with our team and friends, out of spec studios, as well as Test Bros, and of course Brandon Tesla Flex has Turoed one as well. So that's really interesting, but this one is all mine all day. So a few interesting things on washing. Of course, this is stainless steel, very different than traditional paint, very resilient to scratches and scuffing and things like that. This material is truly crazy, but I really wanted to deep dive into, okay, how do we actually wash this thing? Now there's a few interesting components with this that I'm going to touch on in this particular video, and that is Tesla's recommendation to use Dawn dish soap. Now typically, it's not really what you want to be washing cars with. It strips a lot of stuff off. It's very challenging with paint and ceramic coatings or any sort of protection you put on your vehicle, because it's basically stripping everything off. So not something I would use on normal painted vehicles. Now, I personally have not seen where Tesla actually recommends this. This is something I keep hearing on Twitter or X, and people saying, just use Dawn dish soap. It's all be cure all. Now, the interesting thing, the day before I flew down here, I spoke with a company, B&B Blending. Now, they are out of Denver, Colorado. They create, different detailing products for lots of different companies out there. And I was speaking with their chemist, and their chemist, I was telling him about the Dawn dish soap deal, and he goes, ooh, I think, yeah, you may need to kind of chill on that. He says, I think there's a lot of things in there that people don't realize how aggressive and strong Dawn dish soap actually is for taking out grease and things like that. Now, on the other side of things is we use a lot of Dawn dish soap on stainless steel appliances like, kitchen sinks and pots and pans and things like that. So on one hand, I'm thinking, okay, I think this may be a good product. On the other hand, why don't we just use a pH neutral normal car soap? Well, today we're going to find that out. So I brought 2 different soaps with me. Now this is not ideal. I don't have a foam cannon, don't have a pressure washer, I don't have my whole setup. Once we actually get a Cybertruck back to Colorado, after my findings here today, I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about how we're going to move on with this in a professional detailer sense. So this is very rudimentary. I have 1 bucket, a wash mitt, and 2 different soaps. So I have Dawn dish soap and I have Adam's Car Shampoo. So the Adam's Car Shampoo is something that I actually use in my business. It's pH neutral. You can put it in a foam cannon, foam an entire vehicle, adds tons of lubrication. Importantly, does not add any sort of protection on here because we kind of want a fresh slate, but it's not going to strip things off like waxes or sealants or ceramic coatings. The pH neutrality of that keeps it very easy on the paint and finishes like that. So I'm anxious to test on stainless steel what that actually looks like. So I'll bring you in, but my thought process is we're going to use Dawn dish soap on one side and Car Shampoo on the other side and dry it as quickly as possible to see what works and what doesn't. Now, I'm not sure this is going to be a end-all be-all test. I don't think I'm going to come out of this going, okay, Dawn dish soap is 100% the way to go, because I think it's going to work for a little bit of time, but it could cause other issues down the road, where I think the Adam's Car Shampoo is a more realistic product to use that is specifically made for cars and cleaning things like that. And I think longevity wise for the stainless steel here, that's probably going to be your best route. You got to think when you're washing a vehicle as well, you're dealing with areas like glass, with plastic, with wheels. If you're stripping all the protection off there, because in my opinion, I would go in, ceramic coat all this, that Dawn dish soap is gonna wear that down easier and easier, or spray sealants that you may use. So that's why I'm saying, okay, I kind of like the idea of Dawn dish soap, but the chemist has more ideas for me. I am planning on doing a full dedicated video with him talking about why Dawn dish soap is not made for vehicles, and maybe specifically even for Tesla Cybertruck. So interesting findings here. Again, this is going to be an ever evolving story as I learn more and more about the Cybertruck. I spoke with a detailer locally down here that works basically with Tesla. I got some insight from him. He didn't even know about the Dawn dish soap thing. So I don't know where this has come from in the community to where Tesla says, Cybertruck, you have to use Dawn dish soap. To me, I'm not sure that's really true. So I don't know, but I'm just going off of what I've heard. We're here to test, so let's get testing. Well, let's take a quick look around the Cybertruck and see what kind of current state it's in. Now, the owner of this particular vehicle asked me specifically to come down and try and figure out what works on the stainless steel. He's had this for a little bit, and he said fingerprints are a huge issue. Anybody telling you fingerprints aren't an issue hasn't been around a Cybertruck. For example, let me show you this here. Now, the issue with this is stainless steel is a very porous material, very, very different than paint, and your hands have a lot of oils on them. Mine are very dry right now. Typically, you know, detailing, all these chemicals are very harsh. Now, I use a lot of gloves when I work on vehicles. G with Test Bros has wrapped, I think, 4 or 5 Cybertrucks now. And he was telling me, dude, fingerprints are a massive, massive problem. So he said, of course, you need to get the vehicle clean, but after that, isopropyl alcohol is your friend. We're gonna find out that later on videos to see what it does. But the problem is when you're wrapping a Cybertruck, sometimes you have to get under here and actually come in and touch the panel, creating stuff like this, which creates issues for not only how it looks, but vinyl and stuff sticking like that. So really interesting. Now, of course, here in Austin, it's a little bit dirty. Roads are kind of filthy. It's an interesting time of year down here. Lots of rain. You can see it's very, very overcast right now, very foggy, and lots of stuff on the roads. But this is the current condition. And as you can see, it's not very clean. So that's why we're down here. But stuff like this definitely needs to be washed. So, you know, my thought process with this is we need to come up with a wash cycle on this to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't work. And that's what we're testing here. But you can see up front here, look at the discoloration here versus over here. Bugs are going to be a serious problem for Cybertruck. I'm not sure, and I did not bring any with me, if bug remover is going to stain the stainless, how that's all going to work. It's going to be really, really interesting to figure all of that out. But just wanted to walk through this with you so you guys can see the level of contamination and dirt. Now again, very rudimentary here. I have what I have. I am on the road. Again, I live in Colorado, down here in Austin. I had to bring stuff with me, so I have a single bucket. Would I like to have a 2-bucket wash and a foam cannon? Absolutely, of course, yes. Now, we're not necessarily worried about scratching this. This stainless is very, very resilient. I mean, it is insane how resilient it is. So not really worried about the micro scratches and things like that with this particular finish, which is why we have this. So again, 2 products we're using, Dawn dish soap here and Adam's Car Shampoo. So I have currently Dawn in here. I'm gonna wash one side of the truck and then get a new bucket here and fill it with the Car Shampoo. So what we're gonna do here, as you can see, I've already tested out this panel and finding some interesting things with the Dawn so far. So you can see this side has not been washed and this side is washed. This finish actually feels quite nice. Now again, I am not spraying water on here. I am simply using a bucket and a wash mitt and coming on here. So this will be very, very interesting. What I'm finding so far is you get some drippage like this. So you're gonna have to, of course, when you're washing this, do the whole panel at once. And I'm curious to see what it does when areas like this, little spots of water stay in there. You can see how it literally just streaks. So trying to dry that is going to be very, very interesting to say the least. So I think before we talk too much more, let's just wash this side of the Cybertruck. Again, I'm really only focusing on the stainless steel. Yes, I'd love to clean all this stuff, but realistically not in the cards for today. So let's get this washed up. Let's see comparison between dish soap and Adam's Car Shampoo, a full pH neutral soap. So I've got my wash mitt here, and all I'm gonna do is basically work a single panel at a time. Again, this is not the ideal way I'd like to do it. I'd like to be able to rinse this off, but we're very limited on solutions we have here. So we're just gonna move along here, washing in straight lines, not really scrubbing all that much. The truck's not super dirty, but again, I wanted to test this, see what the soap is actually gonna do. Let's go over it one more time. So now what I'm gonna do, unfortunately, is again, I don't have rinsing capabilities here. I'm just going to have to towel dry it. Now, most of the soap will come off of here. There will still be a little bit of residue, so that'll be interesting to see how that reacts over time. But we're gonna do what we can. Again, this process would not be something that I would be doing on a normal painted vehicle, but stainless steel, very different story. So I'm seeing here as this is drying, I'll be curious to see what these streaks do. So I'm gonna come in here with a little bit drier towel, because this one's gonna get quite wet here, and just kind of work this in, pick up all the rest of the residue. So I would actually say, wow, so far, this is getting it really pretty darn clean. Now I can still see a few spots in here. Let me grab the camera off of the tripod and we'll see up close what this actually looks like side by side, because definitely some interesting findings in here to say the least. What I'm impressed with here is there's really not a ton of streaking that I can see from basically the wash mitt going over it. What I am noticing though, hopefully you can see this, it's more apparent in person, but there's these lines going on here. I don't know if this is the finish in the actual stainless steel or what that is. Now this is really hard to pick up on camera. I can tell the camera is really, really struggling, but you can see some of these dots in here. Yeah, holy smokes, they're hard to pick up. Maybe down here. Yes, this area you can see through the camera now. So all these little spots, is this grease or what is that? Let me grab a towel and see here. So can those be wiped away? No. Okay, so interesting. So all this is really staying in there. So I think that's maybe where the isopropyl alcohol wipe down is going to come in after you wash it. Again, this isn't ideal, but this is gonna give you a good rough idea of what it's gonna clean like. Dawn dish soap, again, very, very strong detergents in it, so it should be able to get most of this stuff off. I'm gonna do these two adjacent door panels here. This down here will be really interesting, and the fingerprints will be interesting to see how that actually reacts. Be curious to see, because Dawn, yes, is more strong than something like the Adam's Car Shampoo, if stuff like this is worse, I don't know, we're gonna find that out. But I definitely think stuff like this drying on here is gonna be interesting, and what's that gonna look like if it does fully dry. Man, oh man, these things are gonna be definitely tricky to wash, I can tell you that. But let's keep going down the doors here and see what our findings are. Let me also tell you how hard this is to film. Every single person that drives down here rolls down the window and goes, holy crap, it's a Cybertruck. Again, it is insane, whether you love or hate this thing. The way people react to this, they smile, they go, oh my God, look at that thing, it's truly insane. But anyways, let's finish these doors here. So one thing we were concerned about with this wash mitt was it basically kind of catching on these edges. As I said in my build quality analysis video, The edges are very soft. I'm not really sure where these journalists are saying these are sharp, tearing up clothes. These are no different than any other door edge, which is really, really fascinating, I would say. But yeah, so let me just rinse this off over here. So I can definitely feel that the soap is doing what it's meant to do. It's meant to get grime off. That first wipe is a little tacky, if you will, so I can feel there's grit on there. It's really impressive how smooth this is. Almost kind of feels like a sealed vehicle, like not a full strength ceramic coating, but somewhere maybe in between. And yeah, feels quite good. Let me get that front fender there as well. So just as we're filming this, again, people rolling by just like slowly staring and just smiling, going, oh my God. It's so funny to watch the reactions of the Cybertruck for sure. All right, so we're gonna grab our more damp towel here. We're just gonna cycle out these towels. I'm glad I bought a lot of them, to say the least. Again, I'd love to have drying towels. I'd love to have my full setup, but we're here. We're washing one of the first Cybertrucks out there, so that is cool enough. Yeah, we'll definitely have one at the shop eventually, and we'll really be able to put every single product to the test. So I'm definitely noticing some stains that are not even sort of coming out. Just looking at some adjacent panels up here, seeing what that's looking like. Definitely smudges that are not coming off with this, for sure. So one thing I do want to make a note of, the gentleman that I talked to at the Tesla service center the other day was saying that this area here has been a big issue for Cybertruck because basically the mirrors hold a lot of water in here. Austin has pretty hard water from what I understand, so you get these really deep drip marks here. You can maybe see it here. And he was saying that they are like nearly impossible to get off. So lots of interesting things. Again, this is just like, this is so new, so different from just cleaning normal painted surfaces. It's a completely different material. And you know, most people are telling me like, oh, use this on it. It's a stainless steel polish. We're going to be testing all that in upcoming videos here today, but it's totally different. You got to remember, yes, this is stainless steel. It's very different from your refrigerator, appliances, things like that. And it's not something that sits inside. This truck lives outside. So yes, it's easy to clean a refrigerator, but you're not dealing with industrial fallout. You're not dealing with rain. You're not dealing with mud and dirt and grime and other environmental elements. So it's really interesting to be here trying this. I know I'm going to say that about 3 million times, but yeah, I just think it's very different than most people think. And all of you keyboard warriors that know how to clean a Cybertruck already and have never seen one in person, good luck to you when you try and clean these things, because the gentleman that I spoke to at the service center was just like, yeah, I just kind of sigh when these things come in. They're very hard to maintain. So I would say on this side, this is looking quite good. Definitely still, as you can see, quite a few marks here from fingerprints and things like that. It is interesting on most of the Cybertrucks I've seen down here, they have this strip here on the following edge of the door and the leading edge of the next where it's a little bit darker. It almost looks like fingerprints. Seems to be some sort of manufacturing stuff going on with that. I don't know if this is going to be refined over time. Also should be noted that one of the Cybertrucks, the Turroed one that we had yesterday, this door was a completely different sheen, color, almost texture than the rear door and the front fender. I don't know, it seems really wild. So I'll keep more on this story, of course, update you guys more as I learn and understand more about the stainless steel and the actual Cybertruck. But yeah, this is actually looking pretty darn good. I'll bring you in close here. I think we'll probably do the hood here and around the front end. I'm curious to see how it's going to work on the bugs. And then we'll switch, go to the Car Shampoo, and find out what the results are. Coming here to the hood, we definitely have quite a few bug stains on here. Maybe try and come in here, scrub a little bit of those. Wow, that's really interesting there. So this edge here is definitely protruding quite a bit more than the other side. And man, you really feel that catch, but it's interesting. No pile off of the wash mitt is coming off or anything like that, which is really good. Front bumper definitely feels like it's, I would say, sticky to say the least, with those bugs on there and a little bit of that road grime. Now, one of my big concerns with Cybertruck here in stainless is how is this going to react to salt? In Colorado, we have mag chloride salt brine we actually put on the roads. What is that going to do to this finish? I truly don't know, and I think we're definitely going to find out eventually. So here on the hood, as I'm wiping this, seeing a lot of water spots in here, which definitely this is not removing. So is a water spot remover going to be the way to go? You know, a lot of the times people use vinegar, white vinegar on stuff to get water spots off stainless steel. Is that going to be something for Cybertruck? I don't know. Let me grab a fresh towel back here and let's get this section dried off. So not really impressed with the hood so far. Definitely not at all. I'll bring you in here and show you the results of this side before we move to the normal car wash shampoo from Adams Polishes. Wow, interesting stuff here, friends. This is truly cool to be one of the first ones to actually test all of this back to back. Well, let's take a look here at our findings. So first off, let's start here on the hood. The area I don't think turned out the best. And all these little specks, wow, those are really interesting. Look how blue that one is there. So stainless steel really turns like 3 different colors. It goes from bright, shiny silver, silvery like this, to kind of orange, more like down here as you can see, and then to blue like this, all with different types of oxidization, different things on there. But you got to say here, didn't really do the greatest job at stripping off these little smudges here. I'll be curious to see if isopropyl alcohol definitely takes stuff like that off. But you can see a big bug stain there. That's definitely going to be an issue on Cybertruck for sure. Now, I'm sure most of you are saying, okay, this stainless is going to be a pain in the butt to maintain. Why don't I just put PPF on it? Well, I brought some PPF with me. We're going to test that in another video, so stay tuned for that one. But this is what I'm talking about. Look at this strip right here. It almost still looks like fingerprints, but it's kind of just the impression in the metal. Maybe down here, definitely some fingerprints, but you see how it's changing from silvery to very gold down here? It's a very, very wild finish on this. But I gotta say, I'm reasonably, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm somewhat impressed with how the Dawn dish soap did here. What's really wild with the Cybertruck though, is you can see, look at this panel here, how much shinier it is than this panel. And then this panel is definitely a little bit more shiny. See how you can see it's almost like foggy in that area? Really interesting. I noted that before I even washed it. But yeah, I would say, okay, I would definitely not say it's perfectly clean. I don't think I expected it to be. The hood really doesn't look good to me. All of this contamination in here, is this stuff like environmental? Typically we deal with a lot of iron deposits on paint and vehicles. On white vehicles, you'll see them, they'll look like bright orange polka dots. Is that what this is? I'm not really sure. Like, you know, my other questions are, what does tree sap do to this thing? I'm kind of seeing what bugs are doing here, and I'm not loving what it's doing in all honesty, but really interesting stuff. So I think let's get the wash bucket switched out. We'll move to this side and start working over here again. You can see all of this stuff in here. It is just wild what it actually looks like on the finish. It's really interesting how smooth the stainless steel actually is, but definitely not loving this. And I wouldn't say this looks chrome, just from this angle it does, but then you move over here and it's completely still that stainless steel satin. It's not changing the finish whatsoever, but be really interesting. So let's get the buckets swapped out, grab some more towels, and wash the passenger side and compare our results. Well, we've got everything reset now. So we've got Adam's Car Shampoo in the bucket, and we're gonna be working just on the passenger side here. Now, it should be known that I used roughly around 2 ounces of soap in each bucket, typically what is recommended for a car wash shampoo. So I used the same amount of Dawn. It's not like I went crazy on either one. Tried to keep them as comparable as possible. So let's get washing here. I think we'll probably start on this rear panel, the farthest away from you guys. Just trying to do the same process I did last time, going over it essentially twice. So flip to clean side, go for it here. Definitely feels different, I will say. Not sure how to explain it other than it almost does seem like the Dawn took more off. It's not as slick as the other side, maybe I would say would be the best way to put it. So it still feels like there's contamination, typically we call it, on the vehicle. Yeah, definitely doesn't have that glide. Definitely does not. So now let's get to drying here. Again, guys, I would love to be able to rinse this off. I don't have the ability to do so. I understand this isn't the ideal way, but I think content-wise, this was important to show just a quick initial findings. And then as we explore and have more access to these vehicles, have one back at Clear Detailing, then we can really dive deep into, okay, how do you actually wash these things? And I think actually washing is the least important part of this truck, because I think it's gonna be a lot easier than doing little touch-up things, in all honesty. So that'll be very, very interesting to say the least. So I'm seeing more of those grease spots, like areas where there'd be some fingerprints, but that water spotting I'm not seeing as much of, which is really, really encouraging, I would say. So maybe using more shampoo, more car wash soap is maybe the ticket. I don't know. Yeah, I would actually say this is looking a little bit better as far as those spots. Still some grease buildup in here, which may be where, yes, that isopropyl alcohol waterless wash maybe, not thinking so, but we'll see how that moves on. But I'm really intrigued at what I'm seeing here. This door is gonna be a real test here because of all the grime that's actually on it. See what it does on this grime here on the hood. Yeah, those deep stains are not coming out. You know, one thing I'm just thinking about in my head as I'm doing this is I really like the concept of having pH neutral. Again, thinking about areas like windows and plastic trim and wheels, I don't really think Dawn dish soap is the way to go. From what I'm seeing so far, I'm not seeing like a difference of no clean versus the Dawn going like, oh my God, this stuff's way better. If anything, I'm kind of seeing it opposite, because these car wash shampoos are engineered to lift dirt, lift grime, and give some lubrication on there without adding anything. So seeing some interesting results, to say the least. Let's try and dry these residual panels. I'm sure everybody's gonna say, you're wiping in the wrong way. You have to wipe with the grain. These trucks are not like that. Well, they are. Don't know how to explain this, but essentially a lot of these are going through a 7-stage sanding process. Yes, you heard me right. There's gonna be a lot more information on that coming soon, because they are basically DA sanding the entire Cybertrucks to refinish them. It's a very weird concept. I don't understand the whole application behind it. I was told by this by a Tesla employee who details vehicles for them, and yeah, that's really interesting. We'll definitely get into that later on. Lots of interesting thoughts on that, to say the least. So this area over here, I actually tested a little bit of spray stuff on here, and that kind of stuff is what I expected exactly to see once you wash it. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out when you start adding protection to these, and then you're using, yeah, I don't know. Wow, so wild. All right, so let me bring you guys in now. We can really look over this, compare and contrast between Dawn and the traditional car shampoo. Well, let's take a walk around this. Now, first off, I want to point out this particular area here. Now, I put some sort of I just quickly wipe this off with a waterless wash, then put a slight bit of, it's basically a sealant, if you will. It's not a ceramic coating. It has some properties of that, and then quickly wiped it off. So this is not obviously cured. And then I went in and rinsed it, and look at the stains in here. This is what I really expected to see a lot of on Cybertruck. Any sort of protection we add on here that's not a full strength ceramic coating, if you're using Dawn, I didn't use it of course on this side, but I think it's gonna get worse and worse as it goes. This doesn't look good. Of course, this side we use the Adams Car Shampoo on, and this is really what I expected. A lot of these stainless steel polishes and things like that we use on, say, refrigerators. So typically what you have is like, okay, let's say for example, this is your fridge hood. You have a water spigot here and you drip water on it. It always looks like this because it's very oil based typically in there, and it creates a lot of streaks like this. So this is as expected. This is really what I expected that to look like. Be interested to see how that comes off in the future. I'm gonna play around with that, of course, in some upcoming videos, but let's move on to the side. I'm impressed, very impressed. I would say not seeing as many of those little water spots, but as you notice, still quite a bit of fingerprint smudges like in here and here. So I don't think the car wash shampoo is maybe strong enough for getting really heavy, deep oils out of that. Again, this was our original panel here, so you can see lots of little water spotting. I still need to do this section, of course, but this was the Dawn side and this will be the other side. But I'm pretty damn impressed with this, to be honest. Yeah, it looks okay, but still, I would like to see a little bit more cleaning power in here. As you can see, like little stuff like this, if you let water dry on there, it's kind of hard to get that off. Let me grab a towel here. So if you have like a slightly damp towel, you can kind of come back in here and clean that off, but still like deeper fingerprints like this here, can you scrub that? You can still kind of see it in there. No, yeah, it's still right there. So interesting stuff to say the least. Let's check out the front, see what our findings are here. So again, having this issue with this type of stuff, I have no idea what this is. Probably some polish, some brilliant glaze, something like that is going to help this. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna have to really play with that. What I am interested to see though is how much more bugs got off of this side versus this side. This looks way better with Adams Car Shampoo. So give and take. Now this spot you guys are noticing is really weird. I believe this to be part of that sanding situation going on with resurfacing the Cybertruck. I noticed this immediately when I got here earlier, and it seems like, so what they're basically doing, let me just give you a quick thought process. You're gonna hear me talk a lot about this in more and more videos upcoming. They're doing a 7-stage sanding, starting at like, I think 120 grit going up to like 680, doing it 7 different stages, getting all of those deeper marks out. But they're taking a DA sander, going down on this and hammering everything out. Now the interesting thing is the guy I talked to said, oh, you have to go with the grain, but you're taking out the grain. So it's really weird because what I'm noticing in the light is you put a light on it and you have all this DA haze. Look at that fingerprint I just put on there. Again, if you guys say a Cybertruck does not fingerprint, holy smokies, and then it just doesn't wipe away. This is why I'm here. This is really why I'm here. So let me wrap this up and give you my final thoughts on which one I would choose in between these, and give you a few more little thoughts about washing Cybertruck. Well, I would say my findings are interesting. And I've used the word interesting all the time because that's the way I process things. I just go, okay, that's interesting, put it in the back of your head, think about that a little more, and kind of understand later on and bring it back to that point and figure that out. But my thoughts here, I really don't think Dawn dish soap is the right way to clean a Cybertruck. I don't think it's the right way to clean any car. It is too aggressive. And yes, I know you can wash little duckies with them. They put that on the label. The stuff is very, very heavy. Like the grease that it'll pull off of areas, yes, sometimes you want that cleaning power, but there's also specific chemicals that can go in there and more safely do that. Now, what I would say of our direct comparison side to side, I personally prefer the way this cleaned up. It got a lot more bugs off. It didn't leave as many water spots. Again, you have those detergents and cleaning agents getting in there, doing what they're supposed to do. Dawn dish soap is for your kitchen, not for your car. I still want to have this chemist come on and explain and expand more on this, the chemical makeup and structure of what's in Dawn versus a traditional pH neutral car wash shampoo. So I would say, yes, this side did not get as many of the fingerprints off because it didn't have that necessarily aggressive grease fighting power or oils and things like that. So I think a few things we could change in this test is maybe use more Car Shampoo. Again, this wasn't perfect. I just wanted to show you guys, bring you along, compare and contrast between the two. I think foam cannons are going to be really, really helpful at sitting on there, really eating everything away. I mean, the soap had literally 0 time to work on there. It's wipe on, wipe off. Very, very simple. So I think that's super fascinating what we found. I also love just having pH neutral because things like windows, they're gonna get water spotted if you use Dawn dish soap. They're gonna get streaky. It's gonna take all protection off. So if we get to the point where we're ceramic coating these, I still don't know if that's even a viable process. I don't know if traditional paint coatings are gonna work on these, or if we need to go in and really develop a full-on stainless steel ceramic coating. I'm truly not sure, and that's something we're gonna have to find out through years and years of research and figuring out how the heck do you even clean these things? So we're at a very, very good stage here, I would say. Yeah, really interesting. Definitely do not use Dawn dish soap. It is just not worth the slight extra cleaning power. Again, I think we could just use more Car Shampoo. So before I keep rambling, let's end this one off. Thanks so much for watching another out of spec detailing video. We've got a lot more to do today. So stay tuned for videos coming up very, very soon. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.